Hello. How are we all doing? Oh my God, what a day. I wouldn't say it was necessarily a lazy day. Well, not for me. My husband, it was kind of a lazy day, but I still have my coffee from brunch. I always get a to-go cup, and I just heated it up in the microwave. Can you feel it? It's still warm. I heated it up in the microwave. I have like half a cup full. And I wanted coffee tonight, and I was like, you know, I think I'm just gonna heat this up instead of going to the gas station and getting coffee. First, I must say, because today was lots of book club business. I am listening to My Life as a White Trash Zombie by Diana Rowland, and I'm like reading it too. So like when I'm in the house and I have any minutes, like I'm sitting there like reading it, and I'm going back between the book and the audio. It is so good, you guys. Like it is. I was really not expecting it. Here, I'll pull it up because I was just listening to it. Well, actually, here it is. Can you see it? I hate that sometimes you can't see stuff on here because I wanted you to see the cover. Anyway, I was trying to find out who had won Miss Continental, the drag pageant in Chicago. Which I guess Alex didn't get to see any of the prelims because the prelims were Sunday night and then the finals were tonight. But I was like on Twitter and Instagram and all this kind of stuff, and I can't, it's like nobody's posted anything saying who won. So you can find out anything you want to find out about social media, but whenever there's a drag pageant like Entertainer of the Year, Miss Gay US of A, Miss Continental, then nobody ever posts anything about it on social media. And I'm like, I want to find out who won. So anyway, but I have an hour and 15 minutes left of My Life as a White Trash Zombie. It is so good, you guys. It is so good. It's not what I expected at all. So it's about this girl, and her name is Angel Crawford, and she's a drug addict. And she like ODs and ends up in the hospital, but she doesn't know how she got there. And she remembers, a car accident. But they tell her that like she overdosed and ended up in there. Anyway, it's so good. And then she starts working for the city morgue. And it kind of sounds like the whole thing would be like this really bad, you know, B-rated zombie movie kind of book. But it's not at all. It goes on like a much deeper level too. And it's kind of like a lot about her like getting her life together. And she has like this alcoholic father. And it kind of goes deep in some areas. Thank you. So, I love saying that. But it goes deep some areas, and it's really well done, and the characterization is fantastic. Not just of her, but of some of the other characters in the book. Thank you. And, I don't know, it was kind of a surprise read for me. I love when I read a book, and I'm pleasantly surprised. So I went in to Audible. I've been listening to so many books on Audible lately. You know, I'm listening to Harry Potter books too. So I went in earlier today. I had like 1 credit left, or 2 credits. I had 2 credits left, and I can't remember what the other book is that I got. But I got Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, because I'm gonna listen to that next, probably. I just downloaded so many good books, I don't know which one I want to listen to next. And then I downloaded tonight Lies That I've Told, which is the second book by Riley Sager. I listened to his or her, I don't know if it's a he or a she, I think it's a she, her book, Final Girls, and, or I read it, and it was good. So now I got the second audiobook, and then this other book, The Cheerleaders or something, which is by somebody that I've read something by too. There's like, anyway, I got like 5 scary books. I bought 3 more credits, and then I used them all. Because I'm like, I'm really like enjoying audiobooks right now. Like I'm listening to them around the house and when I'm doing stuff, and in my car, every second that I'm in the car, I'm listening to an audiobook. See, this is why I should truly be sponsored by Audible, because I'm like their biggest fan in the entire world, but whatever. And you know, a lot of people think it's really expensive, but when you break it down, it comes to like $13 a book if you buy the credits. Less than that if you just do like 1 or 2 credits a month. It's actually cheaper to buy more credits. So, like for me, I mean, $13 a month or $13 for a book, I don't think it's super expensive. When you think about like, you know, how much a book is at the store. Not necessarily that like, you know, a thrift shop or half-price books are cheaper sometimes, but sometimes they're not. You know, like some of the newer ones at half-price books are like $8.99, which I always think is so expensive for a used book, but I never buy those. And then I also talked to Mel, who is my book club assistant today, and we revamped the schedule, and we picked all the books going forward. Very deliberately we picked them. Like, I picked books that like were based on recommendations that people had given me, books that I thought like everybody could read. And it was interesting, I was just like reading the comments underneath there, and people were like, oh, I've already read this, or I have no desire to read that, and whatever. Part of the idea of being in a book club, I know that this is hard to get behind, but part of the idea of being in a book club is reading a book that you would never normally read. Like, that's kind of the idea of it. Like, somebody else picks the book and then you go, oh, okay, I'm gonna read it. Like, I just joined this book club because my friend Dylan started a book club, and they're reading some book that I have absolutely no desire. Oh, that was one of the audiobooks I got, because I was like, if I try to read it, I won't be able to get through it. I have no desire to read this book. None whatsoever. But I was like, you know what? Like, it's good for me to be exposed to things I've never read before or never tried. I think it's important to try new things. So I was like, sure, I'll read it. I may end up loving it, you know? And then I'm, you know, exposed to a new author or things like that. So if you're in my book club, you know, try to stay open to reading something that you wouldn't normally read. Like this, My Life with a White Trash Zombie is not a book that I would normally read, but I ended up like loving it, you know? To the point where I bought the next one in the series because I really, really like it. So anyway, yeah, we talked today, and she's so sweet. She's so wonderful for doing so much for the book club. I don't know what just happened. Like, my nose is running, and I'm sneezing, and my eyes are watering. Oh, it's allergy season. It's officially fall now that Labor Day's over. Well, not officially. Isn't it like the 21st, I think? But anyway, that house kind of looked like the Amityville Horror for a little bit there. But, yeah. So we talked and we picked all the books. It was fun. Alex and I got up today. I slept in a little longer than he did because I stayed up listening to the book last night. And then we went to brunch at Cafe Patashu. And I always get the same thing, which is an omelet you can't refuse with no bacon, and then add in its place red onions and Gouda cheese. And it came out, and I was like, this tastes different. And I was like 4 bites into it, and I opened it up, and there was tons of bacon in it. So the waitress came back over, and I was like, she's like, I said, there's bacon in this, and she was like, oh my god, they know that too, because we go in there every week. She's like, I told them no bacon. So I was kind of surprised, like, not that I really care, but like, I was kind of surprised they didn't take it off the bill. Like, you know, in a situation like that, I feel like that's kind of a situation where you might take something off the bill. I mean, I had eaten like a couple bites of it and didn't even realize there was bacon in it. I was really worried that I might get sick to my stomach, you know, because I haven't eaten meat in so long, but I didn't. But in reality, I don't think, I mean, it was little pieces of bacon. I don't think I got tons of bacon, you know. But I wasn't happy about it. So, anyway, but I didn't let it ruin my brunch. And afterwards, we went to Barnes & Noble, and Alex sat in the little cafe area while I walked around. I was kind of like looking at books to put for, like, that I thought would be interesting to read for the book club. And then I was also kind of trying to like pick some other books. Barnes & Noble looked junky today. It's like at the end of every bookshelf. I'm not a big Barnes & Noble fan anyway, just so you know. feel like they market books that are crap just because of PR companies and stuff like that. Because they have books have been on there. I was like noticing this one book, The Woman in Cabin 10, which I hated, by Ruth Ware. It was horrible. It was so poorly done. They had it like, it's still on like the books you have to read like bookshelf, and I was like, okay, it's been on there for like 2 years now, because I started talking about that book like halfway into my first year of book 2. So it's been on there for like 2 years. And this other book that I can't stand, that's about a school shooting that I just thought was so dangerous. I thought it was so horribly done. But anyway, it's still there too, like right front and center. But the end of every bookshelf, they had like all of these school supplies. Like, why would anybody come to Barnes & Noble to get their school supplies, first of all, is beyond me. Like pencils and pens, and it just looked junky. And I was like, what is going on here? I don't understand. I always go to Barnes & Noble. I mean, sometimes I buy books there, but very rarely. If I can't find it anywhere else, I'll buy it at Barnes & Noble. But even they don't have, like, a lot of books that I'm looking for. But I'll go in there and I'll, like, you know, stroll through the books and see, like, which books I want to buy. And then I'll go to half-price books and buy them. I haven't really, in the last 3 months, been reading, other than Harry Potter, been reading a lot of young adult books. Like, there was a time when that was like all I read, and I really haven't recently, and I kind of miss it a little bit. But I also think that my reading was so oversaturated by it, like my first year on BookTube, because that's really what most people on BookTube read, is young adult, that I think that at that point I just was kind of like, oh my god, I can't do any more young adult, you know? I bought a couple tonight on Audible, but like 2. Well, one of them's for the other book club. So anyway, yeah, it was a good day. We got up, we went to brunch, we went to Barnes & Noble, then we came home, and then I just kind of like sat around and didn't really do anything for the longest time. Alex was like, I'm taking my clothes off, I'm going back to bed, and I'm gonna watch Game of Thrones. I was like, okay. So he watched literally like one episode after another, because I guess the season's coming back on, and he loves Game of Thrones. So he's trying to like watch all the seasons again before, this baffles my mind, like why you would do that when there are so many great TV shows out there, but this is what my husband loves to do. So he's watching all the Game of Thrones again, trying to, before it comes back on. So he loves that epic, like, timepiece kind of stuff. That's not my favorite. So I sat downstairs, I made some videos for my other channels, and, I talked to Mel, who's my book club assistant, and she's fantastic, she's so awesome. And then we also talked a little bit just about us, because I didn't really know much about her, and it was so funny, because I was like, do I seem any different on person than I do on camera? And she was like, oh my god, no, not at all. She said, you're exactly the same. And so that, and then she updated the reading list. I made the BookTube video to go along with it. And then I filmed my other videos, started uploading those, and then I was hungry. It was like 6 o'clock. It'd been like hours since we'd eaten, so Alex was like snacking on Doritos and Fruit Loops. So I made a bagel sandwich, and I sat down and I watched part of Married to Medicine, the reunion show. Okay, that reunion show was so depressing. I don't even watch that show. I watched like 15 minutes of the reunion show, and it was so depressing. And I know I'm crazy. But anyway, please don't turn off. This is what happens, and then it turns off. Okay. Woo! Missed the bullet on that one. I haven't even gone through this stuff yet. I was kind of hoping that they had apple cider, but they don't. They just have like lavender and like the regular other flavors. Then Tanya called me tonight too, and I texted her back and she never answered. I said, Fountain. She called me. Wow. Do you know who I've been listening to a lot of lately? Kylie Minogue. I used to listen to Kylie Minogue back in the day. I don't know why I'm like all of a sudden like listening to Kylie Minogue again, but I am. Well, I do know why. Okay, so I've done videos on this before. I watched Drag Showdown with Crystal Ball Diva, which is this underground, like RuPaul's Drag Race, but it's people on YouTube. It's mostly like high school and college kids, and a lot of them aren't even out of the closet yet. I think I'm gonna like talk to Crystal about possibly sending, because I've gotten to know her real well. She's very sweet. She's like, I don't know, 23 or 24 or something like that, I think. And like the prize package, it's like a year competition. The prize package is like a palette, a song, and some fingernails. So I was talking to my friend Rich, and I was like, would you like donate some stuff too? If I donated some stuff, I'd like to get like a really big package together for one of these kids to win something phenomenal that they couldn't order on their own because they don't have the money for it. Most of them just don't really have a lot of money, and so they do drag like using whatever products they have in their house and stuff like that. And a lot of them can't even be like out about doing it because their families don't even know anything about it, right? And they're pretty phenomenal, some of them. So but at the end of it, and she can't put ads on her videos. She just started a Patreon. Y'all know how I feel about that, but like sometimes I think it's needed. And at the end of her video, she always does a lip sync for your life. Well, she plays the whole song out, so the video is copyrighted. So the way that works is like if you have a song in your video, then the person that like the company that owns that song, like, you know, BMG or something like that, they like copyright it. And it's already set up. You don't get a copyright strike. It's nothing like that. I gotta pull in here and text Alex. Because he texted me about PB's medicine. I already gave it to him. I'm pulling the Speedway. But you just have to like share the money that you make off the video with them, or they get all of it. So it's really, there's no point in putting ads on the video because it's not like you're making any money off the ads anyway. And she's not getting so many views on her video. I mean, she's getting like 2,000 to 3,000 views a video, so it's not like she's gonna make any money off of it anyway. And she spends so much time editing these videos together. If you watch it, it seems kind of like low rent, very amateurish. But there's like 13 girls, and she has to like edit 13 drag queens, performances, and diary rooms and everything together to make it look like it's one consistent show. I mean, it's obvious that it's not, right? But, I mean, it's a lot of work. And so she said in this last one, she's like, I'm starting a Patreon because of this, blah, 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 whatever. And I hadn't even really thought about that before, that she can't even make any AdSense money off of it because she has a song in it. But anyway, the last song that she had in the last episode was, here I have it actually queued up because I was just listening to it on SoundCloud. I love SoundCloud. Do you guys listen to SoundCloud? Kylie Minogue, Kiss Me Once, which I didn't even know that song. But, I used to listen to Kylie Minogue a lot back in the day when I was going out to the clubs. Wow, 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 wow. Do y'all remember that song? She's gorgeous, I think, Kylie Minogue. Wasn't she on that Australian show, Neighbours? Her and Danny Minogue, or was it just her sister, Danny Minogue, that was on it? It's like a soap. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Hello? I don't know if you guys can tell by the way that I drive or like what's in the background, but like forever, okay, on my vlog, I would go the other direction. I would drive by like this circle past Tanya's, and then I would go into, like, if you're in Indiana, you know what I'm talking about, through Fishers, into Noblesville, into Westfield, and I did this circle, and I came back around, and that would usually be about 40 minutes to an hour, somewhere, depending on, like, which ways I went. Sometimes I would take little other roads and stuff like that. Well, now, I go completely the other direction, and I go all the way down to Zionsville, and I go down Zionsville Road, and I turn around because it's blocked off right now because they're doing construction, and then I come back, and that's about 50 minutes of vlog. And I like this way much, much better than I like the other way. I don't know why. I get so bored of driving the same thing every night. I'd be like, oh, the same Waffle House. Oh, right there is Half Price Books, but there's the same Half Price Books. You know what I mean? I would get so bored of it. I need to vlog more throughout the day. And the thing is, I have 2 memory cards right now that I have synced to my camera. By the way, people ask me all the time, I love this Canon, okay? I did not like the customer service. I thought they were assholes, but I love the camera. Like, I would buy another I would buy another Canon in a second. But the thing is that I really liked my Sony Alpha 5000 too. Like, that's why I went in and bought another one identical to it. But the thing is that, like, when I got the Canon, like, personally, I feel, I don't know, you guys tell me, the picture quality is like 100% better than it was on the Sony. But I liked the Sony. I didn't dislike it, you know? Their customer service, I don't know, maybe it's just customer service in general. And the thing is that I'm not like real pushy when it comes to customer service. And I've had friends of mine that worked in customer service, and they're like, if you had any idea the calls that we get, blah, blah, blah. So I try not to be an asshole when I call. And then I kind of I feel like I get pushed around a little bit, and I'm like, I get real frustrated, you know, and I don't know. So I never have, like, which is why I think then when, like, I get customer service that is, like, phenomenal. Like, when I went to Best Buy and they were just like, oh yeah, like, you can replace this camera, it's still, like, in the period that you bought it. I was like, oh, this is so great. Like, I mean, and to be honest with you, it was because, like, I'm an elite member or whatever, because I buy so much stuff at Best Buy and then pay it off or whatever. So I was within the rules of Best Buy. It wasn't like they were being over and above what they should do, but at the same time, it was in how they treated me. It wasn't that they were just following rules. Oh yeah, you can return a camera because that's what the policy said per my, you know, account there. They weren't asses about it. They were so nice. Like, they were so nice about it, you know? And I think for me, like, that's so much of it. It's like, well, when you meet somebody, how are you with them, you know? And like, in that moment where I'm like freaking out because I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to vlog, and I'm not gonna be able to do this, and blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna have to buy a whole new camera for $600. And, you know, to like be talking to somebody on the phone and then basically say, well, you're an idiot and there's nothing we can do for you, you know, like, that doesn't feel good. But so that was my experience with Canon when I called. I mean, the guy was so not helpful. I was talking to a woman, and she was nice, but it was very obvious she didn't know what she was talking about. And because she would say, like, every 30 seconds, she would say, can I put you on hold, and I'm going to ask my manager. So finally, after she had done that for four times, I said to her, could I just speak to your manager, please? And she said, yeah, hold on a second. And so she brought him back on, and she said, I explained the situation to him and whatever. And, like, he was just rude about it. He was just really, really rude about it. And I was like, I've owned the camera for less than 30 days. You know, what are my options? Well, what do you mean, what are your options? And I go, well, what are my options? Can I return it for the full price? You know, can I? No, you can't. No, absolutely not. I go, absolutely not. I said, well, it's a technical issue with your camera. I purchased the camera from you. It's been less than 30 days. Well, you know, our warranty states, I mean, he just was by the books. There was just no compassion there whatsoever. And so then I got a little lippy with him at the end. And then he was like, well, we need to send you the stickers for you to, like, send it back to me. And I haven't said this on here. I mean, I could, like, you know, whatever. But he was like, we'll send you the stickers to mail the camera to. Here was the deal. So their policy, Canon's policy, which is probably similar to Sony and everybody else probably, but their policy is no matter what is wrong with the camera, it doesn't matter if it's the day you buy it. Oh, it's gonna stop, hold on. Okay, so their policy is no matter if it happens to you the day you buy the camera or 6 years later, is that if it's in warranty or under warranty, you mail the camera to them. They look at it. It takes 10 to 12 days for them to fix the camera, if they can. If they can't, you're shit out of luck. Can you believe this? Okay, so you buy a brand new camera. You did absolutely nothing wrong with it. And if it's broken and they can't fix it, you're shit out of luck. What? That's Canon's policy, okay? That's Sony's policy too, because they told me that. So he goes, well, I'll send you the stickers so that you can mail it back. Well, at the end, I was so frustrated, and I already knew I was going to go to Best Buy. And I was like, and to be honest with you, worst case scenario, I was like, I guess if I have to get I cannot wait 12 days for a camera, so I'm just going to have to buy another camera, and I'll just buy a shittier camera is what I'll do that I can afford. And so And then when they return it, I was like going to see what the return policy was on the camera at Best Buy so I could return the camera then to Best Buy. It just was such a mess, you know? And so he goes, well, I need to send you the stickers that you can print out to put on the box to return it to us. And I said, okay. And there was all this stuff I had to do. I had to wrap it in a certain way. I had to put this in, whatever. It was going to be such a mess for me. He goes, can you give me an email address to email that to you? And I said, yeah, sure. And at this point, I just didn't want to fight with the man anymore because he was literally so lippy with me. I thought, you know when they say, like, this is recorded for, you know, blah, 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 whatever? I hope it is. I hope somebody heard what an asshole he was to me. I hope they heard that and thought, this is how you talk to somebody. I was not nasty about it. So anyway, he goes, I'm going to send these stickers to you for return labels. So needless to say, how long have I had this camera now? 6 weeks. I've never received those stickers to mail it back to Canon. Never emailed them to me. Oh, look at that Jeep Wrangler black, tinted windows. God, it's gorgeous. I want that car so bad. It's stick shift, though. I can tell how they're driving it. I am not a good stick shift driver. My very first, was it my first car? My first and second car were stick shifts. Wow, 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 wow. So yeah, that's my little rant about Canon. But I love the camera. You know, and I don't think that the camera quality is representative of customer service. But I do think what's sad about that is that a person, a customer, you know, service rep that works for an organization can ruin somebody's reputation because maybe somebody won't want to go back there and buy something from them again. You know what I mean? Like when you go into a store and somebody's rude to you, it's like, well, fuck this store. I'm not going to go back. It happens to me all the time. But honestly, I would say by and large, the majority of the people that like I come into contact with in stores or restaurants or whatever are very, very nice. You know, I mean, I think if you're nice to people, they're usually nice to you in return, has been what I have found. You know, and I don't know what that guy's day was like that I talked to at Canon. I mean, he might have had the shittiest day of his entire life. Who knows? I don't know. You know what I mean? That girl might have been putting every call through to him. He may have just been overwhelmed, and I'm the one that got the brunt of it. So, and it's not going to stop me from buying Canon in the future. I definitely would buy another Canon camera. First of all, they're touchscreen. I will say that that is fantastic. So like all the buttons on Canon are touchscreen. So you have like a screen, like the screen that I'm looking at right now, it's all touchscreen. So when it like flips over to the back side of the camera and you do everything from the screen, it's fantastic. And I mean, for basically being the exact same price as the Sony, I will say the Sony is a sturdier camera. So if you're somebody that drops something all the time, I would go with the Sony Alpha 5000. But the Canon G7X Mach 2 or whatever this is, G7X, I don't know what the other thing is, but something 2. It's a fantastic camera, you know? I never in a million years, my dad loves cameras, I never in a million years thought I would be somebody that would be sitting here talking about camera quality. I just didn't think I would ever know, you know. And now these people are coming to me telling me to buy a Nikon. Oh, a Nikon's what you gotta have. I'm like, oh my God, I can't go through another brand of camera. Now I understand why vloggers are constantly upgrading their cameras, but they don't tell you the backstory. They don't tell you that their camera fell apart and just stopped working on them all of a sudden, you know? Think about when vlogging like really started back in the day and, you know, people, like there wasn't like the customer service kind of things. Well, I guess it wouldn't have been that long, Peter. It's not like people were vlogging during prairie times. But you know what I mean? Like back in the day when it's so hot in this car tonight. What is it? It is 80 degrees and muggy as shit. And of course, I still have my air conditioning fixed because I'm lazy as hell. Well, if you're one of those schools that goes back to school after Labor Day, school starts for you tomorrow morning, so. Have you ever heard the theory that if you drink hot drinks when you're hot, it'll cool you down? I don't know that I believe that to be true. I don't believe that to be true at all. Not one bit. So Alex is not going to Nashville now. So we will not be having a PP and Peter's bachelor weekend next weekend, which is totally fine by me. I get to spend some time with my husband, which is nice. And he doesn't have to work a whole lot this week. We were talking about that tonight. He gets to just kind of like lay low and stuff. He has to work because he was going to take Friday off, and he had to do something on Saturday, but he was going to take Saturday off too. So now he only works Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And he's like, I'm thinking about seeing if I can, arrange this meeting on Friday. He's always trying to do something with business. But Alex is really, really good with turning it off too. Like he'll work all day long till like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Like I'll call him, I'll be like, what are you doing? He'll be like, well, I'm putting this social media package together, or I'm doing this, or whatever, And I'll be like we FaceTime each other. Like when he's working, we FaceTime each other a lot. And so he'll be like sitting there like on the computer, like talking to me, like when we're talking, and I'm like, well, what time do you think you'll be home? He'll be like, I don't know, like in a half an hour or whatever. Well, like when he comes home, he's like turned off. Like work is turned off. So like he loves work and he gets very creative and very passionate about it, but he has absolutely no problem turning it off whatsoever, which I think is great. I wish I had been able to be like that more back in the day. I think I misconstrued loving what I did. I don't know. If I was at home, I was reading articles on addiction, and I was reading case studies, and I was of course involved in a 12-step program, and so it's like it never really stopped for me. I will say this, like people ask me this a lot. It's hard when you're in recovery and you also work in the field of addictions, because it's literally 24 hours a day, which is why it's so important. Like I saw so many people when I worked in the field of addictions that got involved in it because they were addicts and alcoholics. And so, then they would go and they would start as techs like me, and then they would become, counselors or get master's degrees or whatever. And, many of them now like own their own programs, or, like their own outpatient programs, or they are, clinical directors of places and stuff. I have no desire to do any of that. You want to talk about work, like that's some work. But they don't really, most of them that I know, they don't go to meetings and they don't work programs anymore. And the scary thing about it is, to me, is that they're like, well, like I just don't feel like I need the meetings the way that I used to, which we know is not what we teach in 12-step programs, right? So I'm always like sitting there when I'm having these conversations with people, because the 4 years that I didn't go, if you had asked me why I didn't go to a meeting, I would tell you, I know I need to go, I'm scared to go back. Like that was my truth. Like I was scared to walk back into a meeting and have people look at me that hadn't seen me in 2 to 3 years and be like, where the hell have you been? And I know that that's stupid today, but that's truly, honestly, what it was. And I think I was really scared to actually work on some shit, And so, when I look back today, and I have these friends of mine that are like, oh no, I don't really feel like I need meetings anymore, I don't really feel like I need to work a program, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, well now you own an outpatient program, or you own, like, you're a clinical director of this, and you're teaching this, okay, you are philosophically teaching 12-step beliefs, but you don't participate in the belief that you teach. Like, I don't understand that. Like, can you explain that to me, please? But I don't ever say that to them. I mean, it's like, I think they know. Maybe they don't. I don't know. Or they'll say, like one friend I did say something to, and she said, well, I still go sometimes. Or the opposite you'll see is, you either see people that are not involved in it at all anymore and still very much work in the field of addictions, or you'll see people that are like very involved in both. I know 2 women like that, and well, 3 actually, and one is in charge of all of the drug programs within a county. She's doing some phenomenal stuff because she's working with opioids and heroin addiction. and she's extremely involved in a 12-step program. And then another person owns her own outpatient service program. She's very involved in 12-step program. And another person I know as well too, he is involved in he works for an outpatient program as a counselor, and he's very involved. So there are people out there, that do, but I think it becomes saturation at sometimes, and so people don't know how to take care of themselves. I think it's really, really important, that whatever field you're in, I don't care if you work at McDonald's, to make sure that you're taking care of yourself when you leave there that day. And, it's interesting because I talk to a lot of the people that work at, places that I go, and like the gas station up here and stuff like that. And whenever I go in there, I know the people that work at night, and I'll say, oh, how are you doing? And they'll be like, well, this is my third double 3 days in a row. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, this is my third double. And they keep on booking me for doubles, and I don't know that I can handle it, blah, 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 whatever. And they're going to lose me, I'm going to quit, and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, I know for a fact I couldn't work no 3 doubles, okay? I mean, there's no way. Get like 4 hours of sleep every day and work 3 doubles in a row. There's no way. But I think that they're so scared of losing their jobs because they need their jobs to pay their bills. I've been there, I've been there where I was a yes man all day long. I'd have done anything my supervisor asked me to because I needed the money to pay my bills, We live in this unrealistic world with YouTubers and beauty influencers and movie stars and reality stars and stuff where it's like, I think we forget what the real world is like out there, okay? That like, if you don't pay your electric bill, they're gonna shut it off. If you don't pay your cable bill, they're gonna shut your cable off if you even still have cable anymore. Oh God, please don't turn off on me. Do you know what I mean? So, and I've been in those positions many times in my life, where it's like, I remember an episode of Roseanne where he's like, how are we going to pay the bills when we don't have it? And she's like, well, this one we never got in the mail. She's like joking, and she's like, and this one I sent to the wrong place. But like my old roommate and I, like when I first got sober, my first couple of years when I was working, she and I were like that. Like, we would look at our utilities, and we were so broke, and she would say, well, what's the overdue fee? Like, we used to have these conversations. She'd be like, well, what's the overdue fee on the gas bill? And I'd be like, $2.36. And she'd say, well, what is it on the electric bill? And I'd be like, $7. And she was like, well, we can't risk having our electric cut off. And she was like, and the gas is cheaper. So she's like, let's pay the electric, and the gas will just go to the next month, and hopefully we can pay it then. I mean, we used to do shit like that all the time. I mean, we just didn't have the money, This is when I was sober too. And I was making minimum wage working as a tech in a treatment facility, and my dad wasn't helping me financially, and she didn't have parents that were helping her financially, and we were just doing the best that we could to get by. And we ate ramen noodles every night for dinner, it seemed like, never name brand shit, always off brand shit. And if we went out to dinner, it was somewhere really, really cheap, and that was like a luxury thing, and then when I started dating my first boyfriend, my first serious boyfriend, we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment, and so we would split things 3 ways. And we literally would write down things that we wanted to go for the grocery, and we would go to the grocery every week, like the 3 of us together. And my friend, she was hardcore when it came to like what we're gonna buy. Like, if it was cereal, we weren't getting all brand name cereal, because we were all pooling our money together to get these, groceries. And so we would buy things like frozen pizzas, Totino's pizzas for $1, and ramen noodles, and boxes of mac and cheese that were cheap. And we would buy like a huge lasagna, and we would have a family dinner once a week because that was important for us as friends, and me and my boyfriend. And then he and I would take $30, and back then for $30 you could go to, this isn't 1996 probably, you could go to dinner somewhere like an Applebee's and go see a movie for $30 for 2 people. But today you can't do that, and we would do that like once a week. We used to go see movies really late at night. we would try to win contests for all the free movie tickets that we could get and stuff like that. I think when you're that broke, it gives you an appreciation for really like the things that you have in your life down the road. That like, I mean, I like nice things, don't get me wrong. I like nice hotel rooms. You know, I like to travel well. But I don't have to have them. And I think that taught me that, you know, and I think like, not that I was eating, we weren't eating super healthy, but I was so thin back then. I was so active, you know. And, oh, the other thing is like at work, so we could get meal tickets for $20, and they had, I think that was like 20 meals on it. It was like $1 a meal, and it was a full, I mean, the kitchen and the treatment facility that I worked at, so we would get a half an hour lunch, and so like I got to work with like a different, so like if when I was working on the adolescent unit, if I like, or the adult unit, like if the adults were down there, I would go, you know, in the other, so you would go down there at off break, and there was like an employee lounge, and you could sit in there, and a lot of people would eat in there because they couldn't get off, you know, whatever, but I was so broke, I mean, I'm sure other people were too, that we were eating a $1 meal. Well, the $1 meal was delicious. I mean, there was like a full salad bar, there was like an ice cream maker, there was, I mean, it sounds corny now, but, you know, there was like unlimited, like, so if it was like tomato soup and grilled cheeses or pizza or whatever, you know, spaghetti and meatballs, or, it was just unlimited, and you could eat whatever you wanted to eat for $1, you know? So, I did all of that stuff back in the day, and that was why I kind of got to the point where I was like, you know, as I started working and I, you know, started saving money, and you know, my mom had always been somebody that if she got $5, she put it in a savings account, because the savings account would build up, and that was why I was like, I'm not gonna live this way someday. I'm just not. Like, I'm not gonna live dollar to dollar if I don't have to. I think the thing that our friends are most surprised about, our new friends, our old friends are, I know, when they see our condo, is like, they're like, it's pretty small. And I'm like, yeah, we don't need really a whole, you know, we don't need more than this. So I have so many friends of mine that live in gorgeous houses, and I'm like, your kids are gone to college, or it's just you, or, you know, why are you living in this 10,000 square foot house? I really don't understand it. Now, there's a lot of shit I need to get rid of, like my clothes. I need to go through that closet. Laziness prevents me from doing that, but... And books. I need to start getting rid of some books. It's weird thinking back on those days, you know, like trying to figure out how to make stuff work. And I can remember we would get like one of those big like 40 count things of pizza rolls, and then we would each get a Totino's pizza, and the three of us, that would be like a Saturday night, and we would get like candy, but we would go to like the dollar store or whatever it was back then, a dollar bin store, and we would get, I remember we used to always get those orange slices. They were always so cheap, and so we would sit there and we would, like, you know, buy movies that we hadn't seen that were horror movies or whatever, and we would watch like 2 or 3 of them back to back, or we would rent them, you know, from like Blockbuster cheap. And that was like a Saturday night for us. And sometimes we went out a lot too, but, you know, I look back on that, and those were some of the best times of my entire life, and I think I didn't need a lot to have some of the best times of my entire life. You know, I just didn't. The people in my life were fantastic at that time, and people always ask me, they're like, why don't you talk about the ending of that relationship? Because it just kind of ended. He wasn't in love with me anymore. I thought I was still in love with him, but we wanted completely different things. He wanted to move. You know, he wanted to be really, he was young. He wanted to be, he was 22. When we got together, he was 21. And I actually met him like I met him right before his 21st birthday, and I was 22. We were 2 years apart. So we were together 5 years. So he was 25 and I was 27 when we broke up. Yeah, because right after he and I broke up was when, well, right before I started having seizures and I got diagnosed. But like that was when I started my epilepsy treatments, was like right after we broke up. And so he just wanted a different life, you know. He was really into music and he wanted to go to like gay circuit parties, and I had no desire to do that. I was like, I want to be a homebody, I want to stay at home. And it was really her, like, you know, I mean, we had some really, really great times together. Did I feel, he's a great person. We're very civil to each other today. He lives in Florida. I have no issues with him. If I saw him, I'd, you know, buy him a drink and sit down. Alex is friends with him. I mean, you know, but I mean, it was 20 years ago. You know what I mean? It seems so weird. It was just more of a fun relationship. I don't really know how to explain it. It was never deep. I never thought I was going to be with him for the rest of my life or anything like that. But we traveled a lot with my dad and my stepmom, and we had really good times. And he kind of came from a real messed up family, and so like my family, I think, offered him as much stability as they could, like my aunt and my mom and stuff. And he came to my mom's funeral and he was devastated. And then when my aunt passed away, he sent me a message and was like, I'm really sorry, your Aunt Kathy was awesome and stuff, you know. But it's been so long, I don't really remember much about the relationship. I remember really more the apartment that we lived in with my friend, and also the apartment that we lived in afterwards, just the two of us, because I ended up staying there and living in that apartment after he left. But I don't know, you know, it's weird looking back on all that. I'll tell you what's really weird about this is that we follow each other on Instagram, and I was like, some of his pictures came up the other day, and he's like dating somebody new, and I was like, so I looked at this guy picture, and he had tagged it, like my ex had tagged his picture like Venezolano, and I was like, what? And I like went and to this guy's picture and like his profile, and he was from Venezuela. I was like, this is so weird that he and I both ended up dating people from Venezuela, or being with people from Venezuela. Isn't that weird? It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes. I don't even like that song, and I sing it in so many of my videos. It's gonna stop. Okay, it's about to stop. It's about to stop. It stopped. I'm gonna go into the gas station and get some water. This coffee has put me through it. And then I'm gonna listen to the rest of my audiobook, I think. So, oh, I've got to also bail a bill, and go to the post office. So anyway, thank you for listening tonight. I hope you guys had a wonderful Labor Day. We had such a chill Labor Day, and yeah, it's now September. Can you believe it? September, October, November, December. We are 4 months away from the new year. That is crazy town. Can you believe it? God, so much I still want to do this year. All right, you guys, I love you, and I will see you later. Bye.